This happened just a few hours ago. I am a 19-year-old man, and the people calling me an idiot are 18-year-old men and women. On Thursday, a person I had a major crush on in high school, but who rejected me, messaged me out of the blue. She had never contacted me without my contacting her first, and at one point I realized she had me blocked on social media, and so I found it odd that she was suddenly being friendly. After sending a couple of greetings and questions about how I've been, she said that she was going to have some people over and wanted to know if I would get the beer. The drinking age where we are is 19, and she and the people who were going to chill were all 18. The liquor stores in my area all card. I thought it was silly that my being a month older meant I could buy liquor and they couldn't, and so I said I would love to go. She said, "Thanks, I'll pick you up at 7. 7 o'clock rolled around, and she texted me to say she was in front of my house. I went out dressed and ready to chill with some people, and she drove me to the liquor store. When we got there, I asked what beer she wanted me to get, and she told me to get Budweiser. I hid my disappointment as well as I could, but it was her party, so I went in and bought 2 cases of 24. I got back in the car and said, "Let's party," and she was eerily quiet. I noticed that she wasn't driving towards her neighborhood, but rather back towards mine. I thought she had moved or something, but didn't want to press the issue. When she turned down my street, I finally figured it out. She was being purposefully vague about the invitation because she wanted me to get the beer, but she wanted a way out when she told me I wasn't actually invited in the first place. She stopped in front of my house, leaned over, kissed me on the cheek, and said thanks. In her best voice. I deadpanned her and asked when she was going to tell me I wasn't invited. She feigned surprise and said that she never intended to invite me in the first place. I sat in silence for a long awkward minute, picked up the beer, and walked towards my front door. She got out of her car and frantically tried to re-invite me to the party, but I told her that what she did was the most humiliating thing that ever happened to me. I opened my front door, slammed it a bit too hard, and came back to my room. Now I'm sitting here drinking absolutely unpalatable piss water, and I have text messages from all of her friends and her asking me why I'm being such an idiot. I don't think I'm the idiot for reacting the way I did, but if you haven't figured it out, I'm not amazing socially, so I'm not sure. Am I here? Not the idiot. To be completely honest, it kinda sounds like you weren't actually invited, she just asked if you would get her beer for the night. That being said, it's definitely an idiot move for her to reach out to you after a long period of time, seemingly out of the blue, just to ask you to break the law for her and to not even invite you to the party after. From my understanding, you bought the beer with your own money, so you're absolutely not in the wrong for taking it with you once you realized you weren't being invited to the party. Not the idiot. I think there would be a bunch of petty ways to exact revenge, but the biggest thing you can do is not react. They are all 18-year-olds who don't know how to be respectable human beings. So I wouldn't take pics and send them of you throwing the beer away. Take the high road and don't say anything. Don't return texts or calls, and if you see them or end up chatting with them, keep it short. As the night will go on, they will find someone else to get drinks, then they will berate you because you ditched them. Not the idiot. And if those friends of her actually know about the details, then all of them are idiots too, not only her. Maybe only pouring one for the photos, kind of like that idea, and give the others to your stepdad. She thought she is smart, but proved not to be, and was so much not smart, she, probably unintentionally, also proved what an entitled brat at best she is. Be happy to not have gotten into that weak of character, fill in some strong words. I, 25, have a sister, 28, who's getting married next year. Just last week she asked me to be her maid of honor and I said I wouldn't be able to do it, but thank you for the offer. Now she's upset. She wanted 6 bridesmaids and her maid of honor, and as her only sister, she said she wanted me to do it. After that conversation, she ran and told our mom, who asked me why I would say no to something like that, and I told her it was not something I felt I could take on at this time. The truth is, I would never be her maid of honor or bridesmaid in a million years. She would use me and her other bridesmaids in other ways to make us look awful so she can look better. She did it once. I was 15 and she was turning 18, and she decided to have this huge party that was even bigger than her 16th and her 21st. She and my mom made me wear this dress chosen by her that was ugly. It was ruffles and unflattering to my body shape, and she did that so she could look better. She did the same with her 2 best friends, who were in all the photos of her. She is planning to do the same thing for her wedding. I already know this, and I won't pay for a dress that makes me look awful. I won't do my hair in a way that makes it look awful. I won't wear makeup that doesn't compliment me, just for her. I made that mistake once for a family wedding. She did my makeup and hair, and I will never forget how embarrassed I was. I don't want to give this reason because they will say I am overreacting. But our cousin, who got married the time I mentioned above, even told she knew it was done intentionally because she used to do it to her too. They're the same age and went to school together, and she messed up her prom makeup so she, my sister, would look better than our cousin. Am I the idiot for saying no to being my sister's maid of honor? Not the idiot. I totally get your reasoning and would have the same concerns. Not having a response though may bring this issue to light. If your family pressures you a lot and you feel compelled to say yes or consider it, I'd list out some gentle demands, for example having a say in the dress and shoes and selecting your own hair and makeup styles. If you think your sister would sabotage hair and makeup privately, you could do your own research on salons in the area and say that everyone will go there and claim it as a maid of honor duty and you're being helpful. Not the idiot, yikes. I wanted my bridesmaids to look gorgeous. My 3 closest girlfriends are different sizes, so having them try on dresses to see what was most flattering for everyone was fun. I had suggestions for hair if they didn't know what they wanted, but they had free rein to do whatever. And guess what, the pictures were spectacular because we all looked stunning. OP if they push you, you can state you'll only be a maid of honor if you have full control of what you wear in makeup and hair. And get it in writing. Not the idiot. Just tell your mom and sister you can't take on the responsibility of being a maid of honor or the stress of being one. If they counter that by saying you don't have to do anything, you can point out that historically maid of honor usually prepare stuff for the bride or be the emotional support and you're not sure if you can take on such a role and being at the front might give you panic attacks or make you nervous, they don't want you fainting, vomiting, etc. And taking away any attention from the bride at the ceremony, My daughter was born over a year and a half ago. A couple of months before I was due, my husband experienced something very traumatic that I'd rather not say here. Soon after he was experiencing some severe panic attacks that sometimes came out of nowhere but usually triggered by any sort of stress. He was so worried about how he'd be during our daughter's birth, and I decided maybe it was better if he wasn't present. We were still waiting for him to get approval for a therapist and his panic attacks would get really bad. Being in the delivery room didn't feel like the best choice. My husband agreed, he felt so awful about it, but I knew this wasn't his fault. My sister was there instead, and he stayed in the waiting room with his family, who helped him when his anxiety would spike. The delivery went well, and my husband finally got the help he desperately needed. My mom was the only one who seemed to have a problem with the fact that he wasn't with me, doing his job as a husband and a father by supporting me. She knew about the anxiety problem, why it was happening, and why he hadn't been able to get help yet. But she felt like he should have swallowed it up and been there for me. I put my foot down a few times when she went directly to him and made him feel bad for failing his first task as a father. She'd apologize, my husband would forgive her and decide to give her another chance. We didn't see much of anyone after because of COVID. And then we were busy with my daughter, so didn't talk to her much either. We found out months ago we're pregnant with our second child and my husband is ecstatic, I am too. We were talking to my parents on Zoom and my mom asked if he's actually gonna be there this time or is he gonna flip out again and decide to miss the birth of his baby. My husband got silent afterwards and he was very serious. That's a sore subject for him because he still feels extremely guilty despite being such a caring and devoted father to our girl. I got so mad at my mom, this time she doesn't want to apologize because it was just a simple valid question, but it's the way that she said it. He manages his anxiety very well thanks to his lovely therapist and hasn't suffered an episode like that in a long time even in very stressful situations, we've had a few of those last year. She knows all this, so I know her question was just to make a jab at him. I've been refusing all contact and said she's not welcome to my baby shower until she sincerely apologizes to him. Because she refused, we haven't talked at all and she's still uninvited. Some are not happy we're taking this route, my husband is on the same boat. They feel she has a right to be concerned for me and I shouldn't be keeping her from our family. It's kind of been wearing me down, so I'd like to know what others might think about this. Not the idiot. She wasn't expressing concern, she was mocking your husband's struggle with his mental health. You want to know if you are an idiot for uninviting her to a party because of it. Hell, you would not be the idiot if you completely cut off all contact from her grandkids until she sincerely apologized. Including an admission that she was intentionally being antagonistic with the word she chose and a demonstration that she is trying to change as a person. Not the idiot. Who are the baby's parents? Your husband and you. Who's the one giving birth? You. You know whose opinion doesn't matter. Your mom. If she can understand this and shut up, then you do what's best for your family. You already have given her many chances, and she keeps repeating her behavior. She is not doing this out of concern, it feels more like she is in a power trip with you. She wants you to say yes, you are right, he is a crappy husband and should have been there with me. Not the idiot. She doesn't get to be more upset about it than you, the person who went through labor without her husband. She is now creating a problem for you where none existed. There are times where I don't think it's reasonable to expect in-laws to just forget and move on from their son-in-law or daughter-in-law's behavior. Abuse, for example, is not something I could just accept and then slap a smile on for a family dinner. But this. Your husband was struggling, and even then he did the best he could to be there for you in whatever way he was capable. My mom and stepdad are foster parents, but living with foster kids is kind of awful. Nothing against them and I really hope they're getting the help they need, but it screws. I was forced into the tiny room, which is fine, but I also can't really leave my room. I can't play music or video games, I always have to let them pick movies and TV shows. I feel like a prisoner in my own home, and I can't speak up about it because then I'm being ungrateful. I know it's nowhere near what most kids experience, but I still hate it. For months, I've been begging my dad to let me move in with him. I spend all my time there and it would just make more sense. Logically I know I'll never be able to, he's working 70 hours a week, living in a one-bed apartment. But it's fun to pretend. My mom and stepdad don't seem to understand where I'm coming from. I should be grateful, I have clean clothes on my back and food in my stomach. Whenever I try and explain they never listen and point out how much better I have it. Anyway, I was talking to my cousin on Monday and mentioned staying with my dad this weekend. She asked why, and I explained that I just don't like being at home. She asked why and if that's why I want to move in with my dad, and I said yes and explained how I felt. She eventually went home and told her mom, I guess. Yesterday, my aunt pulled up and basically demanded to know what was going on. I don't know what exactly happened, but they got into an argument and my cousin came up to help me pack some clothes for a few days. When we went down, my parents accused me of making things up, saying that I had no need to feel the way I do. My aunt didn't really give me a chance to reply before we left. I went home today to grab some stuff and they called me selfish, saying I'd created an aggressive atmosphere which wasn't good for foster kids. I said, I don't care about the foster kids right now. Why do they matter more than me? My stepdad told me to get out and I did. A whole bunch of family has blocked me on socials, and my foster sister has been posting about how I'm selfish and only care about my own feelings. My dad is now clued in, and he and my aunt are both saying that I'm not in the wrong for feeling the way I do, but no one else seems to agree. So, am I the idiot? Not the idiot, my parents were also foster parents, I think they still are, started fostering when I was 6 or 7. I absolutely hated it, for many reasons, that I won't go into, but know that I know exactly how you feel. I also had nowhere else to go, I would daydream about going to boarding school, or my parents divorcing, so I could live with my dad. I left home when I was 18, and have no contact with my parents now. You're not selfish, you're not in the wrong. Your mum should prioritize you and your feelings, and I'm sorry she's not putting you first. Not the idiot. There's always someone who is more or less fortunate than you. It doesn't diminish our own feelings and our own pain. Your feelings are valid, they deserve to be heard and respected. I'm so happy that you do have some family who is there to support you. Your mother and stepfather let you down. It's honorable that they want to help out kids, but it doesn't mean they're not being bad parents to you. Silencing you like they've done, be it your wants, your needs, your desires, your pain, is not okay. Not the idiot. One day I want to foster children. But, my partner has 3 kids. If any one of them isn't on board with fostering, we will not be fostering because that would be a negative environment to bring a kid into after their works has been turned upside down. Yes, it sounds like you're being a little selfish, but it also sounds like your mom and stepdad don't take your wishes about anything into account when it comes to how you live. You should not constantly be on the back burner. Me, 26, and my husband, 29, moved out of our hometown right after we got married. He's very close to his friends that he met from high school. He tries to use every opportunity to see them in person and spend time talking to them. He heard that 3 of them were visiting our city for 2 days and they wanted to visit him the day before they leave the city. He was so excited. Prepared everything for their visit and stood at the door waiting for them for an hour. They arrived at 4. I made coffee and brought sweets so my husband could spend more time talking to them. Then he suddenly looked at the clock, which was 5 p.m, and told me to go upstairs so he could talk to me privately. My husband freaked out, saying he had an important meeting with a client via Zoom. And it'd take about 40 minutes for it to be over and asked if I could stay with his guests till then. I reminded him I had an appointment with a doctor at 5:15 and couldn't skip it. He asked me to cancel it and stay with the guests. He didn't even want to hear my response. Just rushed out for his meeting. I got dressed and went downstairs. I told his guests that my husband had a 40-minute meeting and I had an important appointment with a DR. Told them they could wait or leave if they didn't want to wait. They chose to leave. And I went to my appointment. In 45 minutes I got an angry call from him asking why I told his guests to leave instead of sitting with them till he was done with his meeting. Said he missed his friends and wanted to talk to them more. He said I always let him down and act unsupportive, although he always entertained my family when they came to visit. Truth is, he just loves spending hours talking to my brother cause they share a lot of interests. So he wasn't doing it for me. He argued about how I was being negative. And how his friends must have felt awful being kicked out like that. He said I could have gone to my appointment 40 minutes later and explained to the doctor. But that's not how doctor appointments work. We argued back and forth. Everyone in the waiting room was staring at me because of how loud my husband was talking. Till he hung up on me, then sent me a text. With the word selfish in capital letters, selfish. I just couldn't stay. I've waited for a week for my appointment. I understand he misses his friends, but this appointment was important as I've been constantly dealing with an unbelievable pain and needed to see the doctor as soon as possible. I've been on medication, but it's not doing much. Just sitting in the waiting room is exhausting in itself, so it's not like I went out with friends. Not the idiot, you selfish. Absolutely not. You prepared drinks and sweets so your husband could have more time with his friends. He is the one who invited them over while having a Zoom meeting scheduled. He is the one who asked a huge favor of you with only 15 minutes notice. He is the one who prioritizes his friends over your health and well-being. I get that he is disappointed, but he should be angry at himself and his poor planning and not you. Does he often consider his needs more important than yours? Not the idiot. He handled that super awkwardly and it's his fault. When he disappears, leaving his wife to explain where he just went, that's weird. He should have explained it to his friends himself, found something for them to do for 40 minutes, pulled up a funny stand-up special, game console, whatever it is they enjoy, and handled it like a big boy. Plus, just simply being aware that he had that Zoom call at all would have been helpful. It seems like it took him by surprise. Did he not check his calendar before inviting them over? Not the idiot, your husband's request and reaction is so crazy I'm kind of stunned. I'm sorry, I hope you're okay because honestly his calling and yelling at you so loudly others could hear is abusive. Then texting you selfish. I wish you had responded yes, you are because the whole interaction was him being selfish and unreasonable. And he does not and probably will not see that. I'm kind of afraid for you. Please take care and protect yourself.